Okay, so I've just went through and graded everybody's day 5 homework, and let's just say I was very surprised at the amount of simple, silly mistakes that I saw. Um, if I'm gonna be brutally honest, I shouldn't have seen that many mistakes because evaluating expressions is something you learn in 8th grade. It's kind of like a review before we even get into like real algebra 1 content. You should already know how to do this stuff. And where I saw the mistakes were at was because you all did not follow order of operations, where you forgot to put parentheses, you forgot what squaring is. I just saw a lot of things. So what I'm going to do is straight from the homework, actually. I've picked out 5 different ones that I'm just going to model real quick and talk about the mistakes I saw. And I hope it helps you realize where you messed up and that so you can learn from this. Because you've got to get this down. This is so simple. Okay? So first one I want to do is actually the very first problem. Alright, so we have the expression n squared minus 3n plus 8, and we want to plug in 4 for the n. Now, what the video told you yesterday was everywhere that that variable shows up, you plug this number in. So it's going to go in here and right here. Okay, I simply just took out the n and put my 4. Now we've done this, we followed the order of operations. Okay, so remember, order of operations is PEMDAS. We start with any parentheses or grouping symbols, start inside there. Then we move on to exponents, and then multiplication or division, whichever one comes first as we read the problem from left to right. The same thing with addition and subtraction. We can start with whoever comes first, left to right. So, in this example, there are parentheses, but there's nothing to do actually inside of them, so we just skip them. We go to our exponent. I have an exponent of 2 right here. You all have to remember what that exponent of 2 means. It does not mean 4 times 2. Okay? It does not mean 4 times 2. An exponent of 2 means you take whatever is inside your parentheses and multiply it by itself. So this is secretly 4 times 4. Okay, that's called squaring. 4 times 4 is going to be 16. Now we move on to this multiplication right here. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And then we still have a plus 8. I again apologize for my board. It likes to act stupid. Then we follow order of operations. Subtraction comes first. 16 subtract 12 is 4. Then we add the 8. You should get to 12. Now, I did not require you to do all this by hand. I mean, you could have done it all by hand like I've done. But if you really wanted to speed things up, if it was me, once I got to this step, I would find me a calculator. So I'm going to go to this Desmos Scientific Calculator. You can Google that. And I'm going to type in that expression I had there. Now watch how I type this in, because this is 4 squared subtract 3 parentheses 4. Get out of those parentheses. Add the 8. Hit that. Boom. 12. You don't necessarily have to work it all out. Once you get to this line, 4 squared minus 3 times 4 plus 8. Once you get there, you can type it straight in the calculator and get your answer. Okay? Now, let's go back. Let's do another one. So next I'm going to do 4 times absolute value of m subtract n. We're going to let m be negative 7, n be positive 2. Okay, so again, first thing you do, plug your numbers straight in for your variables. Now, notice what I did. M was negative 7, so I just stuck it in. This original subtraction sign stays there. I have not done anything to it. It comes straight down. And n was the positive 2, so I just stuck it in. Okay? If you were to work this out and show every step, you would start in here with these absolute value bars. So this 4 stays there. Negative 7 subtract 2. That means I'm already at negative 7 and I go backwards 2 more. That would put me at negative 9. I can't tell you how many people put negative 5. Okay? You've got to remember how addition and subtraction works with negative numbers. Okay? Now, I got 4 times the absolute value of negative 9. Well, let's take care of absolute value first. The absolute value of negative 9 is 9 because negative 9 is 9 dots away from 0. So this is secretly 4 times 9, or a positive 36. A lot of people answered with negative 36, and that's because they forgot how absolute value works. Okay? If you're one of those people that don't want to work it out, I would type that box into the calculator on Desmos. So let's go see that. So we had a 4. Now we're going to find the absolute value bars, and it'll take me a minute because I'm not entirely familiar with this calculator. It's not on the main screen. It's not there. Is it in function? Maybe it is on the main screen. Sorry, it's taking me a minute to find it. Oh, there it is. Sorry, took me a minute. There it is. So then you do your negative 7, subtract 2, arrow out of there, hit that, boom. There you go, 36. Okay, or you could have done 4 absolute value, negative 9. There you go. You get 36 again. Alright. Let's move on to another one. 19 subtract x squared, we're going to let x be negative 5. So again, we plug it straight in. I think the issue with this problem was we forgot how squaring works. So again, we start here with the negative 5 squared. This means we take negative 5 and multiply by itself again, and we get a positive 25. Okay? So we're going to get 19. This minus right here is not the minus from right here. I think a lot of people thought they were doing this. Wait a minute. Whoa. Sorry, don't know where that come from. A lot of people, or some people, thought they could do this. Because I remember minus minus makes plus. You cannot do that here, okay? You cannot. because this has an exponent. Okay? This first subtraction sign has to stay there. And then -5 quantity squared is going to be just 25. And then 19 minus 25 is -6. Again, if you want to use your calculator, I would just do 19 minus, open a parenthesis, -5, get out of there, square it. There you go, -6. Alright, 2 more. Four p squared minus, plus 7q cubed. We let p equal -3 and q equal -2. So we plug them in. Okay. Now if you're going to work it all the way out, I would just work down the line here. -3 squared means -3 times -3, which turns into +9. Then we add. -2 quantity cubed, this means I'm doing -2 times -2 times -2. -2 times -2 is +4. +4 times -2 is -8. So this can be replaced with -8. 4 times 9 is 36. 7 times -8 is a -56. We can think about this as just subtraction. You should get -20. Okay, if you want to use a calculator, go from here and type it in. So you got 4, open a parenthesis, put -3, get out of there, square, plus 7, open that parenthesis, and then we put our -2. Now, in order to get the cubed, if you're using Desmos, you don't hit this one that already has a squared. You want to hit this one that says a to the b, because that will let you put in whatever exponent you want. You hit enter, you get -20. Alright? Last one. We have -q squared minus r squared plus 3s. We let q be 9, r is -6, s is -20. So again, we just plug them in. Now, watch what I'm going to do on this one. Make that a q. This negative in front of q squared throws everybody off. That negative, if it's first, you write it first. The q, we take it out and put a 9. It should look like this. Negative parenthesis 9 close parenthesis squared. Subtract. R is the negative. Okay, it's already negative. So I have to make sure I use parentheses when I substitute it in. It is squared, right? Yeah. Okay. Biggest mistake with this, especially with evaluating, is you have to use parentheses when you sub the number in. Okay? Especially right here when we're dealing with the negative. Alright? Now, 9 squared, that is 9 times 9, which is 81. And this negative is still out front, so I just slap that negative on my 81. It doesn't go anywhere. You just slap it on the front. Negative 6 squared is negative 6 times a negative 6, which is a positive 36. Okay? So just this portion is positive 36. I still have this negative out front. So he stays there. And I put my 36. Positive 3 times a negative 20 is minus 60. You do all that subtraction, you should end up at negative 177. Okay? If you want to use the calculator, start your negative, open a parenthesis, put the 9, arrow out of there, squared, minus, open another set of parentheses, put negative 6, arrow out, squared, plus 3, parentheses, negative 20. There, negative 177. Okay. What I hope you remember things to remember. Use parentheses when substituting. Okay? You have to get in the habit of using parentheses when you substitute into an expression. Remember the order of operations. Which is PEMDAS. You start inside any set of parentheses or grouping, then you do your exponents, then multiplication or division, whichever comes first, and then finally addition or subtraction, whichever comes first. Alright? Oops. Watch your signs, so that means you're watching for your pluses and your minuses, because that will throw things off. Okay? Let me show you what I mean by that. So, here's two ways of doing negative 5 squared. Okay? And your calculators are programmed to read it however you type it in. So if you want to make sure you're correct, you have to type it in correctly. Okay, so here's the difference. With this first, let me divide them. This first example here, this means you take negative 5 times another negative 5, which is positive 25. Alright? The bottom one, this negative in front stays there because you have not messed with it yet. 5 squared means you're going to do 5 times 5, which gets you a negative 25. Okay? This first example and the second example are not the same. You have to make sure that the problem wants you to do the... Back up, that sentence started wrong. You have to make sure to do the problem correctly and how it wants you to do it. If it wants you to do negative 5, the whole thing squared, then this is what you're going to do. If you're just squaring 5 and then making the final answer negative, you're going to do this bottom one. Okay? I hope this video helps with with the mistakes that you all made. If you're still having trouble, please let me know. Okay, I'm here to help.